Death Valley days, where Western history comes alive.
The women who helped build the West did it in varied ways. Some fought side by side with their men, and some plowed the fields, making their families. But one woman wrote, Mrs. Carolyn Westcott Romney, a widow who came to Durango, Colorado in 1881 to publish a newspaper. The citizens of Durango lived in fear of the lawless Kimball Star Gang, who looted and murdered with apparent impunity. Mrs. Romney was determined that law would prevail, and her only weapon was her pen. The story of Mrs. Romney and the Outlaws.
All right, folks, break it up. Come on now, this is no stage show. Go on home about your business. Come on, let's go. A little surprised to see you here, Mrs. Romney. This isn't a very pretty picture.
Nothing the Kimball Star Gang does is very pretty, Marshal.
Well, now, I don't know that they did this.
Everybody in town knows it.
There's no proof of that.
Proof? I'll get you 5 witnesses that saw it happen. They'll tell you who did it.
What does it matter who did it? He was no better than Kimball and Starr, so he deserved hanging.
Maybe deserved hanging, but not a lynching. There's a big difference. Hanging is a lawful execution. The other's murder.
Now, what do you expect me to do about it, ma'am? Face them alone?
Why don't you get a posse together? Hire some deputies.
Posse in this town? Not likely. And as for deputies, they cost money. That's something you're going to have to discuss with the town council.
Maybe I will.
Mrs. Romney?
Oh, Charles.
What's the matter? Did that lynching upset you?
Yes, it did upset me. But not nearly as much as the marshal's apathy did. There's a vicious gang running roughshod over this town. And neither he nor the town council seem to care. At least they're not doing anything to stop it.
Well, if the town council doesn't care, I guess there's nothing much can be done about it.
That's where you're wrong, Charles. Something can be done. There's plenty can be done.
And behind these murders, lootings, and robberies is a band of cutthroats and ruffians known to one and all as the Kimball Star Gang. Not since Blackbeard's pirates bloodied the waters of the high seas have such brigands plied their trade.
Tell you what right she got calling us brigands. What does that mean?
Marshal Christie has been derelict in his duty to provide Durango with proper law enforcement and protection from the likes of Ike Kimball and Ross Starr. But is he altogether to blame? We think not. The town council must share the responsibility for decent law enforcement. It must hire competent help to aid Marshal Christie. And when will that come to pass? When may the peace-loving citizens of Durango begin to expect more from their elected officials? And that, gentlemen, is the opinion of our esteemed editor.
Kimball and Starr ain't gonna like that. Not at all.
I don't like it either. This kind of action puts us in a very embarrassing position.
And what are you going to do about it?
What am I going to do about it? You're a member of this council, too.
You know, boys, I think it's about time we had a little heart-to-heart talk with Mrs. Romney. We should acquaint her with the facts of life here in Durango.
Well, I think that's a good idea, but don't antagonize her. She gets awful mean.
Oh, shut up, Gus. You're so chicken-hearted, I don't know how you had guts enough to ask the people to vote for you. Come on, let's go over and have a talk with her.
Visitors coming, Mrs. Romney. Just like you figured.
Welcome, gentlemen. I've been expecting you.
As president of the town council, Mrs. Romney, I demand a reason for this editorial.
Well, that seems obvious to me, Mr. Clark. I want you to do something about the Kimball Star gang.
Miss Romney, that's the marshal's job, not ours. Why pick on the council?
You won't hire any deputies for him. Why?
Well, we haven't got the funds.
Get them.
No, wait a minute. We're losing sight of the most important thing here. That editorial, Mrs. Romney. That'll rile up Kimball and Starr.
I certainly hope so.
She just don't understand.
Look, if Kimball and Starr get mad enough, they could tear this town apart. Your editorials could anger them. And if we try to oppose them, that would anger them, too.
Stir them up, and they'll wipe us out. You believe me, they'll do it.
They haven't been so bad here so far. A few robberies, and a couple of people got hurt, and those people that got killed, well, they needed it anyway.
What about the little McKay child? Couldn't get out of the way of a gunfight in time.
Oh, no, that was an unfortunate accident. They didn't mean to kill the boy. The point is, Mrs. Romney, that a lot of innocent people would get hurt if we went after the gang. Why, maybe even killed. To spite, they wrecked my store, and yours too, Pete. I don't want even to think of what they might do to us personally.
Miss Romney, you got to stop this nonsense before you get us all in trouble.
So the town council is scared. Not only scared, but looking out for your own vested interests. You don't care anything about this town or its people or what happens to them. All you're worried about is what Kimball and Starr will do to you. And I think that's an awfully poor excuse for being an elected official. Now, I have work to do, gentlemen. Good day.
Hey, you the editor of this paper?
I'm Mrs. Romney, yes. May I help you?
You write this?
Every word of it.
That wasn't very nice. People who read it might get the wrong idea.
Not the wrong idea, the right idea.
Me and my partner, Ross Starr, we don't like it. We want you to tell your readers you didn't mean it.
Ah, you would be Kimball. Mr. Kimball, we print retractions only in cases of error. I have not erred in my characterization of you and your gang. I meant every word of it. No! Change my mind, you deadly!
Maybe this will help change your mind. Hey, you the door! It'll be a lot easier if you make one of them retractions.
No!
You're a stubborn woman, ain't you? Well, I'm getting kind of tired of fooling with you. I'm just asking you one more time.
You save your breath, Mr. Kimball. The answer is no.
Go get some more. Hurry up.
Feel all right now, Mrs. Romney?
I'm all right, Charles. But I wonder how these gentlemen feel.
Well, you can't blame this on us, Mrs. Romney. It was your editorial that spared the gang.
That's right. And if they'll do this over one editorial, think what they'll do if we try to run them out.
They beat up a woman and a young boy, and that's all you can say?
Mrs. Romney, you're from the East. You don't understand life in this part of the country. These gangs come and go. This one's been operating in this part of the country for 4 or 5 months. It's only a matter of time they'll pull out of here and head somewhere else.
Meanwhile, you give them free rein to do whatever they want, huh?
Well, let's be realistic about this. Durango is a frontier town. It's not a year old. It's not civilized. Why, there's bound to be a certain amount of lawlessness we expect.
Expected, yes, but we don't have to accept it.
I give up.
What we're trying to say, man, is that out here life is pretty cheap, especially to people like Kimball and Starr. Now, we all want to live just as long as we can, and we aim to do just that, even if it means having our faces rubbed in the dirt now and then.
I don't like dirt, but I'm going to rub somebody's face in it, with or without you. The town council's head-in-the-sand attitude toward lawlessness and disorder is as hard to understand as it is sad to contemplate. Surely the town fathers wouldn't ignore a smallpox epidemic on the theory it would just go away.
The things that Kimball and Starr stand for will not disappear just because the council chooses not to recognize them. There is an epidemic in Durango, an epidemic of lawlessness, and now is the time to fight it.
He makes us sound like some kind of a germ. Starr, I'm getting sick of it.
And I'm getting sick of you. You loused up everything. I told you to leave her to me. But no, you had to rough her up. Play a tough man.
Well, it worked the time before. How did I know she was going to be so stubborn?
Because you got no brains, that's why. Now she won't stop till the whole town's up in arms with that paper of hers.
Unless we can find a way to fix that paper for her,
Do you have it ready today?
Should have it late this afternoon, Mrs. Romney.
Good.
Gentlemen, I don't think we can ignore her editorials any longer. People are beginning to talk, and we're in no position to do anything.
That's what we have the marshal for.
Oh, Mrs. Romney, we were expecting you. Won't you sit here? Yes. We were just discussing your recent editorial. Very good. Excellent, in fact.
Oh?
Yes, in fact, we agree with what you were writing. We think that something ought to be done about Kimball and Starr.
Mm-hmm. That was a rather sudden decision, wasn't it?
Well, the boys just remembered that Election Day was coming up, ma'am.
Now, Marshal, how many men do you need? 4, 5?
4 or 5. Well, there's more than a dozen in the Kimball-Starr gang.
A dozen men? We don't have enough money in the town treasury to hire that many men.
Well, then levy a special tax assessment.
Oh, the people would never go for that. They'd never buy that. No. Tell you what we'll do. You come up with a plan, and we'll buy it.
Now, hold it just a minute. You're not going to toss this thing to me all alone. You expect me to face Kimball and Starr with a female editor and a young printer's devil?
You don't have to, Marshal.
What?
I have a plan. It's really very simple. All you have to do is organize a group of volunteers into a citizens committee. Call it a committee of safety.
Committee of Safety.
Permanently banded together, mutual protection. The marshal could call it out any time he had to. Like now, to get Kimball and Starr.
I couldn't go for that.
Mrs. Romney, Durango is a town filled with miners and gamblers and gandy dancers. People who won't stay put for more than a couple of months at a time. You expect you'd get those people to volunteer to get themselves killed?
Yes, if the town council would volunteer first.
Oh, I couldn't do a thing like that.
You can't expect men like us to fight. It's our job to run the town. We pay you, Harry. You're a gunman. It's your job to fight for this town, not ours.
You don't pay me enough to face Kimball and Starr. You want to find somebody better than me? Go ahead. And when you do, give him this.
Oh, no, Harry. Harry! Now, wait a minute, Harry. Harry, please. Mrs. Romney. Mrs. Romney, they're here.
Oh, you know what to do, Charles.
Okay, boys.
Let him go!
Come on, let's get out of here.
Cloud's starting to form out there. Looks like it's going to be a big one, too.
Oh. If I prepared the right things to say to him.
Well, you've said everything right so far.
But this is different. I've never made a speech before. And I don't know how they'll react to a woman speech maker.
Yeah, well, Mrs. Romney, you know I ain't the one to give advice. Leastways, not to somebody like you. But,
Well, go on, Charles. What's in your mind?
well, it seems to me you just ought to go out there and say what's in your heart. Just never mind any fancy speeches. Just tell them what you think and how you feel. And don't bother with any highfalutin words.
You mean just kind of shoot from the hip?
Yeah, that's right.
So we've got to proclaim that good order, peace, and safety to persons and property must and shall prevail in Durango. Now, the town council tells me you won't fight for what's yours. I say you will. I say you have dignity and pride.
I'm just a farmer, Miss Romney. I can't go up against them gunslingers.
But there's more involved here than just you and me. It's the whole future of this town. Durango can't mature or prosper as long as the likes of Kemble and Starr are allowed to run rampant without fear of retribution. Hank, you operate an up-and-coming livery business, and I know the Reverend Kales wants to fill his church with as many sinners as he can. But if Durango's a ghost town, and lawlessness can wipe out a community just as surely as plague, then where does that put the Hanks, the Mrs. Hamptons, the Reverend Kales? Where does that put all of us?
Oh, you're getting all worked up over nothing. Yeah, if it were that serious, the town council would do something about it.
Yeah, he's right.
Wait! What about the Committee of Safety? Please! It's all we have. Listen to me. Won't somebody volunteer? Oh, you better go on home, too, Reverend. And on your way, say a prayer. Because that's about all this town has left. Well, you won. At Durango Lock.
We'll take care of her place good this time. Her, too. You got the sack?
Yes, Billy.
Okay, let's go.
Seem a little too quiet to you? No. Probably saw us riding in and everybody's getting out of her way, that's all.
Kemble and Starr, they're back.
All right, now you all know what to do.
Ed, you get up there and cover. We don't want to be disturbed.
Wait! The dynamite. Look, they're fixing to blow us up.
Hold. Let it go, Charles.
I am. It won't work.
It's got to. Try it again.
Ain't no use, Mrs. Editor. We made sure that thing don't work. I'll throw the first stick. Jake, you and Hawk, toss yours on the roof. The rest of you, throw yours right behind me. I don't want a piece of lumber standing when we're through.
Oh, my God.
You two all right?
Yes, what's going on?
That, Mrs. Romney, is your Committee of Safety in action.
Let's get out of here!
Well, I don't understand. Yesterday, everybody walked out on me.
Not on you, Mrs. Romney. On the truth. We couldn't face it.
What changed your mind?
Your speech. Afterwards, the marshal and us, we had a long talk, and we admitted things to ourselves finally that I guess we really known all along. That you can't live in fear all your life. You have to stand up straight and fight it. We knew that the gang was coming for you, and, well, we knew we had to take a stand or we'd all be lost.
I still don't... Is he...
I'd still be walking around if it hadn't been for you and your committee, but tell you, Mrs. Romney, I haven't felt this good all my life.
I'm very proud of you, and the whole town.
No, ma'am. It's we who are proud of you. If you hadn't come along and, well, we're very proud that you were able to jog our memory and our courage.
By the way, Marshal, you left something behind the other day, and I kept it for you because I knew you'd want it back. Here it is.
Well, what are you two sidewinders waiting for? Come on, get me out of here. Over the docks and patch me up. I got a lot of work to catch up on.
Hey, mighty clean air we have in Durango, hmm?
Yes, Mrs. Romney? Mighty clean. Now.
The fearless courage of Mrs. Carolyn Romney first brought law to Durango. She continued to publish the Durango Record for many years. Died in Denver in 1916 at the age of 75. Next week, another true story of the American West.